shots of vodka.
All right, welcome to my Super Bowl special. And of course, we're starting off with everybody's favorite part, liquor. All right, this is a drink called ocean water. It's really, really simple to do. What you want to do is you want to grab a couple of shots of citrus flavored vodka or any flavored vodka you like. You want to add to that, about 3 shots of coconut water. I just got the original unflavored kind. Try to remember what the fuck you're doing. Add just 2 drops of food coloring to give it that classic blue tint. If you want, this drink is pretty sweet. You can add blue Curaçao if you like, but we're going to be topping it off with Sprite, so it doesn't really need any more sugar. Place it in a shaker and pretend you've just seen a pretty naked girl on your computer there. Shake that up and pour it into an ice-filled glass. Top with Sprite and serve. And that's ocean water. Okie dokie. Next drink on the menu is blackberry bourbon. You want to start off with 2 shots of bourbon. Okay, and then to that, you want to add a 1/4 cup of blackberries, the juice of half a lime, about 2 teaspoons of sugar, and then blend. Okay, just pour this into a glass, and then you can top with club soda, but I decided to go with a berry-flavored sparkling water. You want to add about a shot of it, little more, little less. That's really to taste. I did try this without it. It was actually really good. So, don't forget to stir this after you add the club soda. Now, those 2 drinks should be enough to get you through the game. So, I'd say it's about high time we move on to snacks. Alrighty, let's start with the dips because all except one of these you can make days in advance, and the last one you can make several hours before the game. So this is a sour cream and dill dip. This is a real easy thing to do. You want to start off with 1 teaspoon of dried onion flakes, a teaspoon and a half of dried dill, a teaspoon of dried parsley flakes, half a teaspoon of garlic powder, half a teaspoon of onion powder, half a teaspoon of salt, and a half a teaspoon of black pepper. Then you want to add 8 ounces of sour cream. And then you just want to give this a good stir. Keep stirring till it's all mixed together. And place in the fridge for at least 30 minutes before you serve it. But like I said, you can make this easily up to a couple of days beforehand. And I kind of recommend 24 just to give the flavors a chance to blend. So that's a nice sour cream dill dip for the Super Bowl. Okay, my second dip, I don't know what happened to the footage of it. But it's my Smoky Mountain chip dip. I can just tell you the recipe. 16 ounces of sour cream, a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce, a teaspoon of liquid smoke, and about a half a teaspoon of salt and pepper each. Mix that around and give that 24 hours for the flavors to blend. I don't know what happened to the footage. But now let's move on to a nice bacon cheeseburger dip. As you can see here, we got about a half a pound of bacon frying up. And you also want to brown up about a half a pound of ground beef. I just seasoned this with a little bit of salt, little bit of pepper. All right, let's make the dip. Okay. Now to a smallish crock pot set to about medium heat, you want to add the cooked and drained bacon and the cooked and drained ground beef. Also, you want to make this dip about 3 hours before the game, at least. And then, kind of roughly cubed, you want to add an 8-ounce block of cream cheese to this. And I mean real cream cheese. Don't do the low-fat bullshit crap. Get the real shit. Alrighty, and then you want to add a bit of diced onion, about a quarter of a cup, some diced pickles, and a 10-ounce can of diced tomatoes with the green chili. Rotel makes a great version of that. And then you just want to give this a little bit of a stir, cover, and we'll be back to add the final ingredient. Okay, last ingredient to this. We're going to add 8 ounces of a nice shredded Monterey Jack, and literally that's it. Cover, let everything melt, get happy together, and just stir occasionally to make sure nothing sticks or burns on the bottom. And that's it. A nice hot bacon cheeseburger dip for the whole game. All right, so we've made a couple of dips, but we need some chips to go along with that. And I'm going to teach you how to make some nice homemade tortilla chips, and they are the easiest things in the universe to make. These are basically corn tortillas. They're about the 3-inch round variety, and I just cut them into corners. Preheated some oil to, I believe, 375, and then you just want to take the kind of the sticky end of a wooden spoon and just move the chips around so they don't stick together. You know, they'll take a couple of minutes to fry up. You just kind of go by sight. When they're golden brown, kind of they're done. Or just a little bit before golden brown. And then I just season them with salt and pepper. Homemade tortilla chips. Done. It's really not that hard. Or if you want to be lazy, you can go and spend $2 on a bag of chips. But I don't know, every so often I like doing this. But yeah, just deep fry them, salt and pepper. That's it. Okay, speaking of great snacks, how about we make some peanuts? Some chili lime peanuts. In the bowl, I have 2.5 tablespoons of lime juice, followed by 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Now to add some heat, that is a teaspoon of chipotle powder. If you don't have chipotle powder, feel free to substitute cayenne. You just want something that has a little bit of heat in there. Then you want to add about a tablespoon of paprika. And then you just want to eyeball about 2 teaspoons worth of kosher salt. Maybe a little more. Who cares? It's peanuts. And if you do want it extra spicy, feel free to add both cayenne and chipotle powder. That's just me. I was feeling like I needed it a little bit spicier for this here game. And then, of course, freshly ground black pepper to taste. Grab a fork and mix this up. Then, grab a 17-ounce jar of dry roasted, unsalted peanuts. Make sure they are unsalted. It is actually kind of an important detail, but don't worry. You'll be able to find this at any decent-sized grocery store. Stir this around until the peanuts are evenly coated, and preheat your oven to 250 degrees Fahrenheit. 250 degrees. Okay, on a baking sheet lined with some aluminum foil. You could also use parchment paper if you like, but I believe I was out of it at this point. Get a nice little thing of that and spread your peanuts out into one even layer. And then you want to pop them in the oven and you want to bake for approximately 30 minutes. And that's it. Chili lime peanuts. Good for the whole game. Also, if you do have any left over, these will keep in an airtight container on your counter for up to 3 weeks. But I guarantee you, you're not going to have any left over. I made these and they were gone in a day. And that's what they look like when they're done, but before they are devoured. All right, let's move on to our next artery-clogging snack for the Super Bowl. These are cheeseburger wontons. What we have in the pan is approximately 1 pound of 80-20 ground beef. that I'm just seasoning up with a little bit of salt and pepper. Then basically you just want to brown and drain the beef. Obviously it's common sense, but I'll have one jackass in the comments going, "What do I do after I cook the beef?" If you have to answer that question, planet Earth isn't for you. Okay, so here's a wonton wrapper that I lightly brush with some cold water. And you want to add just a little bit of ground beef, about a teaspoon, maybe a teaspoon and a half. Then I pulverized some cheddar cheese in the food processor. Just add a little bit of that, and then just turn over, press and seal. Also get the deep fryer heating up to 350 degrees. Okie dokie. Oil is obviously ready and time to drop our cheeseburger wontons in the oil. You'll want to fry these in, again, the 350 degree oil for, 2 to 3 minutes. I kind of experimented with some different, shapes and how to roll them and whatnot. But yeah, 2 to 3 minutes and they'll be ready to go. Drain on paper towels. When they're done, they should look a little bit something like this. All right, on to the next heart stopper. Okay, how about some Doritos mozzarella sticks for you? As you can see here, I've got some Doritos chips that are in a food processor. And basically, you just want to grind them up until they have the consistency of, like, cornmeal, I guess. Okie dokie. So after that, it's time to get the mozzarella sticks working. As you can see, I've got 3 different little stations set up here. In this one, we have about a cup of flour and about a 1/4 cup of cornstarch. Then the next station is just beaten eggs. And you kind of want to try to have a wet hand and a dry hand when you do this. So you want to coat them in the egg mixture. And then roll them into our crushed Doritos. If you like, you can always re-put them back in the egg mixture and then roll them again. I did this. Some people say it's optional, but I did it. All right, and then let's get the deep fryer heated up to 375 degrees, and I'll show you what to do next. Oh, before we go, though, obviously you could probably tell, but I'll just say it. These were mozzarella, the string cheese mozzarella that I just cut in half. And again, you can find that shit anywhere. Okie dokie, we have the mozzarella sticks ready to go. Make sure they're not touching. And I just kind of did it like this. It'll take a couple of minutes to fry up there. You just kind of want to eyeball it. It's unlike if you're using breadcrumbs. You can certainly use breadcrumbs. You don't go to the golden brown. You kind of go to their golden orangish, or until you see cheese starting to melt out of the mozzarella stick. Should look a little bit something like this when we're done. Okay, we have gotten all the snacks, all the dips, and all the drinks. It's time to move on to the main event, the Porky and Petunia Pig Pizza.
You're killing me!
Don't bite my head off!
Yeah, don't bite his head off!
Shut up, Barry! You're just gonna eat all the pizza anyway!
Hey, don't lob factual statements at me as if they're insults!
All right, first thing we got to do is make the dough. Like a idiot, I didn't melt the butter. That's all right, it'll all get worked in. That's 1 cup of warm water. That is water that's about 100 to 105 degrees. Don't go too much more than that. Otherwise, you'll kill what I just added, which was a tablespoon of active dry yeast. Also in this is approximately about a half a teaspoon of salt, just a little pinch of salt, and a teaspoon of sugar. Make sure you add the sugar because the yeast needs something to snack on. Now, you basically just want to leave this here for approximately 10 minutes or so. And hopefully you come back to kind of a bubbly substance. If it is not bubbly, that means your yeast is dead. Stop being a loser, go to the store, buy more fucking yeast. Okay, 10 minutes has passed, and trillions of yeast cells have come alive. Time to destroy their whole fucking world. All right, you want to whip this up just a little bit with the dough hook on, just to get everything kind of busted up and moving along. Okay, lastly, in batches, add 3.5 cups of all-purpose flour. And then you want to put this on the lowest speed and let the dough hook knead the dough. You'll want it to basically be able to slide off of the dough hook. It takes about 5 minutes. And then let it rest for 10 to 15 minutes, or preferably 20. Okay, let's get working on the sauce. To a food processor, add about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. I just eyeballed it. And that is a can of 28-ounce San Marzano tomatoes. They're the best. Just add everything in the can. Dump that motherfucker right in. Okay, and then you want to add a 6-ounce can of tomato paste. You also want to add just a pinch of sugar. The reason we're adding that is to kind of counteract the tin taste that you can sometimes get from canned tomato products. And I'm just going to eyeball this, but you want to add about a half a teaspoon of oregano and about a teaspoon or so of basil. Again, it doesn't have to be super precise. Just fucking eyeball it. And then this is optional, but I think it wakes up the sauce a little bit. Add about a half a teaspoon to a quarter teaspoon of red pepper flakes. You don't want to make the sauce spicy, but this is just enough to wake it up just a little bit. Okie dokie. And last, a little salt, but a good amount of pepper. I think I did 15 turns of the old pepper mill. You don't need much salt because all these canned tomato products, of course, have salt in them, but you do need the pepper. And then we puree the shit out of it until everything is basically all well and blended together. And that's it. The pizza sauce is done. Pizza sauce you actually don't cook. So, all right, next step. Should look a little bit something like this when it's done. It'll keep for a while in the fridge and can be a great dipping sauce for all the mozz sticks and everything else we've made. Okie dokie. The dough has proved. Time to punch the shit out of it. And after this, you squeeze all that air out. You want to cover it and proof it again. This dough recipe is more than enough for 2 pizzas. I cut my dough in half after the second proofing. Okay, so my goal for 2021 is to get really good at making pizza. This one, I made the mistake of using a rolling pin, but it's all right. It came out delicious. And then I tried to crimp the edges in rather than doing what I should have done, which is watch YouTube videos on it. And like a bigger idiot, I didn't spread the dough out in the pan. So this happened. But hey, for my 3rd pizza I've ever made from scratch, I think I'm doing all right. And if you don't think I'm doing all right, I don't really care because it's my fucking cooking show. Make your own goddamn cooking show. All right, so you want to spread this out to where the corners are, kind of scrunched up with the pan, and time to put our topping. Oh, by the way, get ready to preheat the oven to 500 degrees. Okay, we're going to start off with the Petunia Pig pizza. Start off with saucing it. I think I went through 3 or 4 ladlefuls, but I like a lot of sauce on my pizza. That's just me. If you don't, be stingy with the fucking sauce. But I'm a fat guy, so everything's bigger in my world. Okay, and then we add a good layer of Italian sausage that we've pre-cooked. Add some bacon pieces we fried up. Tack on some Canadian bacon. And of course, pepperoni. If your pizza does not have pepperoni on it, it is garbage. And for the record, vegan pizza is not pizza. And then, of course, add a generous amount of freshly shredded mozzarella. If you have a food processor, this process is quicker than shit. You can also feel free to dust it with a little bit of Parmesan. And that is the Petunia Pig Pizza. Bake it at 500 degrees for roughly 20-ish minutes. Cooking times will vary depending on where you live. Let's move on to the Porky Pig. Okay, now the Porky Pig is a nice round pizza. And, you can see our sauce there. Again, you add as much or as little sauce as you like. I like sauce. I'm a big fat piece of shit. And as always, we start with a little bit of Canadian bacon. Then we take our little sausage crumbles. Then we add our bacon pieces and lay down a generous amount of pepperoni. If your pizza place is stingy with the pepperoni, that's got to be a crime and report it to someone. Okay. And lastly, add a nice little layer of salami to the pizza. And cover with cheese and then bake for approximately 20 or so minutes, or until the edges are brown and the cheese is bubbly, in the 500-degree oven that we were talking about earlier. Okay, so through the magic of cooking show editing, the pizzas are done. This is the finished product with the Petunia Pig Pizza. It was delicious. I may have kept it in the oven just a cunt hair too long, but hey, like I said, it's my third pizza. This is the Porky Pig at the end of the day. It was delicious. So that ends my Super Bowl special. I hope everyone enjoys the game and has a great time. I'm out.